Welcome to Hermit Woods, where there's a story in every bottle. Are we on?
We're on.
We are.
I think so.
Are we on?
Looks like we're on.
Hello, everybody.
Look, there you are.
Oh, look, there we are.
Wait, no.
Oh, we're live. No, we are actually live. You can't use that. If you look at what the world sees,
yeah, it's 10 seconds.
It's going to be a delay.
Yeah.
And then we're lost.
We're lost.
Yeah, that's not good.
Turn this over.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
We are here. We are live.
Welcome to another Monday. Another Monday.
Another Monday. I love this.
We've been doing this for how long?
A while.
Almost a year.
A while. Yes.
It's amazing.
Maybe more than a year.
It's amazing.
Yes.
This is an interesting day. I just got off the road.
You did.
I just came back.
I just got out of the cellar.
I had the opportunity to go down and visit my mother down in Connecticut.
Very good.
And spent a couple days down there.
With the top down and the Miata?
With the top down and the Miata. And I like pulled off the highway, pulled in, walked up here.
No, you went and got the Campari.
Ah, that's right.
Now, why would you get Campari?
All right.
Are you people familiar with
We're
this?
going to get to that.
Okay, good.
As you know, this is another surprise episode because we didn't put anything out on this one, but that's okay. People can count on us. We're going to be here doing something every Monday at 5:30.
We will be here. Yes.
Yes. And it's kind of, I think that's kind of cool that we kind of leave it a little bit loose sometimes. Yeah. I hope everybody agrees. Fun. I don't know. Do you agree?
Chuck,
Let me go to the comments.
Unfortunately can't join us again. He's flying to Houston right now, I think, in a Dreamliner.
Not San Francisco?
I think he's going to Houston, and then he flies to San Francisco.
Oh, okay.
Right now, he's just jumping over there.
That's quite a plane he's flying.
Yeah, the Dreamliner. That's what we took to South Africa, remember?
A Dreamliner?
Yeah.
Oh, that must have been the first class then.
Well, he showed the picture of the first class cabin, which I think he's getting to sit in, hopefully. But even still, when we were back in the coach section of the Dreamliner, that was a fantastic flight.
It was.
That's in 2023.
Yes.
For those who want to join us,
go to Africa
in January to go to South Africa, right?
2023, January. Yes,
January 23. So just the end of next year.
Hope you can join us. So a couple things before we get into it. I know everybody who comes every Monday knows this already, but I always like to say for those new folks who are just joining us, please like our broadcast, comment, ask questions. We'd love to answer your questions. We'll answer them live during the broadcast, and also share our broadcast with your friends and family who might find it entertaining or educational, either way. And if you want to subscribe to our Facebook page, that's the little bell on the
ding, ding,
on the
ding,
page.
ding, ding.
Yep. And if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is also being broadcast live, you can see the subscribe button right below the YouTube channel. And
I've got to look for those. I don't.
Yeah, well, you should
I've seen
subscribe.
I should. But I'm always here.
I know, it's true. You don't have to. You kind of know what's going on. So a couple things before. Of course, we had to get some wine in the glass.
Well, you were talking, so I thought I would
talking.
just, carry on.
But I thought before we get into our tasting today, there's some really exciting things happening in the last couple of weeks. A lot of momentum has happened.
Yes.
And I think we've talked a little bit about this. We recently took possession of the little red building across Dover Street from the winery, 62 Main Street. And we're really excited about the future of that red building, which we're not going to go into a lot of detail about right now. But what we are going to talk about is in just, 2 weeks?
Yeah, we have a new bar.
Hard
You
to
should see
believe.
it sitting out on the driveway over there.
We have a new
brand
bar.
new bar.
Yeah.
Made out of a couple of our used barrels and a nice table that was out there on the deck.
Yeah.
And that's set up because we're going to be serving drinks over there.
Yes,
right?
it's so exciting. We got picnic tables being delivered. We're going to have a beer and wine garden out on the lawn at 62 Main Street. And we got this great barbecue guy. I haven't had his food. I'm excited to try his food. It's supposed
to be really good.
The
Angry Hog.
The Angry Hog. And if anybody spent any time in the Weirs in the last couple of years, he had a bricks and mortar Angry Hog location that shut down with COVID, and he decided to not go back to bricks and mortar. He's now going to do the mobile thing. So he's agreed to park his Angry Hog barbecue truck at 62 Main until October.
We can almost see it from here.
We could almost see it from here,
yeah. A little bit lower, we could see it. So
Yeah.
it's directly across the street from our shop here.
So barbecue all summer. I feel a little bad for the neighbors on Main Street because he's going to be smoking brisket for days and days.
Neighbors, what about me downstairs?
I know.
I'm going to be smelling that all day long.
We're gonna
I'll
get
just walk
we'll
across
see if
the
we
street
get
for
a
lunch.
staff discount.
We'll get a discount. Yeah, hopefully.
So not only are we going to have barbecue next door all summer long, Guess what?
I know you're gonna bring it up.
we locked it down. We're going to have
you got it nailed.
oysters. Wow. We're going to have
Wow.
fresh shucked oysters. For those of you who don't like barbecue and more into the seafood thing, what's better? And possibly even lobster rolls. Wow. Oh, I can't even wait.
With Lake House
It's
White.
kind of hard to be here.
Lake House White. We're going to be over there.
But that's not true. We saw last week. There's a lot of great food here too. So
Oh yeah. No, it'll
take
be
your pick.
it'll be really a continuum and expansion of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So great food, great drinks, great vibe. When it fills up here, people, sometimes on Saturdays, people come in, they
There's
walk
not
in the
enough room.
door and everything's full and they're like, oh shoot, I really wanted to be here.
Right.
And they leave and hopefully they come back. But now with this seating across the way, they'll be able to go over there and really soon upstairs. I mean, I can't believe how cleaned out it is
It's
now.
close. It's really close.
Really close. So this is going to be a hopping corner, this Main Street.
You know what else we're getting?
More?
Yeah. Wine slushies.
Wine
We're getting
slushies.
Wine
Yes,
slushies.
yes.
He's not terribly happy about that, but
No, I am. I think it's perfect for over there. Perfect.
I'm thinking like strawberry rhubarb in a slushie, some some crab apple.
Crab apple. I like crab apple over ice. So
Crab
it's going to
apple
make a perfect
is going to be a
slushie.
perfect slushie, and maybe some Winnipesaukee rosé. Who knows? We'll do some experimenting. But the slushie machine is on its way. It's going to be here this
Good.
week.
You got it ordered.
Yeah,
Wow.
I got it ordered.
You're spending some money.
I know. It's painful. It's painful. But you got to spend money to make money, right? So if we're going to have entertainment over there, we got to have slushies. So what else is new? We talked about the upstairs. There was something else I wanted to mention too before we get into things. Oh, you know what I should do? I should say hello to folks because we have a few people who have joined us. Jen's joined us. Jen, thank you so much for Saturday. I know I didn't get to say goodbye when I left. Jen is one of our club members who's been a club member for 3 years. And now she
so
works
awesome.
here.
It was so great to see her.
Yeah, it's really nice to be with you Saturday. You did a great job on your first day, on a busy day. So thank you. And again, sorry I didn't say goodbye before I scooted out of here. I was kind of in a hurry to go to Rhode Island. And Priscilla's here. Hi, Priscilla.
Excellent.
Janice and Gary Parker. Hi, Gary.
Hey, Gary.
Oh, Geraldine's here. Of course she's here. She heard we were doing mead.
Yes.
She had to be here. So
I'm opening a second one, Bob. The first one seemed a little corked.
Oh, well, you're trying to open a second one.
I'm trying to open
it.
it.
Look at that.
We have
That's
new corks coming.
So while Ken's getting that open, let's see. What do we got? Any questions? Oh, a Negroni, Priscilla. Yes, a Negroni. I discovered Negronis, I don't know, about 5 years ago in Portland. And I've been a fan ever since. I love to find a well-made Negroni, and I make a good one at home too. I found the ingredients, so thank you. I'm glad you got someone else knows about the Negroni. Very nice. Let's see. And Jen Eaton said she had the best day ever on Saturday, so that's awesome. So what are we going to talk about today? Priscilla says oysters. Oh shucks. Ba-dum-bum.
Ba-da-boom.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
We are talking about a classic product that we've had for a long time. Geraldine's favorite.
Yes.
One of my favorites.
And this is
called
one of my favorite vintage of it.
Three Honey Wine. Then this is the 19 vintage that just came out. And this is made, it's a mead. So a mead, for those of you who don't know, is a wine that's crafted from honey. And it's an ancient drink. It's a very simple drink. It's about 1 part honey and 4 parts water.
Why is that?
That ending up at about 13% alcohol.
But why do you add water? That's important.
The honey itself is shelf stable, as it is. So a beehive is actually a dehydrator. Bees collect nectar, they bring that back into the hive, they put it in these little hexagonal, honeycomb that they've created out of wax, and they let it dehydrate. They've got their bee wings going, they've got air moving up through the column. They dehydrate it down to where it has 20% or less water content. And at that point, that honey is shelf stable forever. And they cap it with a thin layer of wax, and that's their food. And we rip off their food and take their honey. But
enjoy their honey. Done right, we only take enough food.
We don't take all of it.
To give them sustenance at the same time, share.
Right. So when I had beehives during the season, a good season, I would get 100, 150, 200 pounds of honey from a single hive and leave 100 pounds on the hive going into the winter. So there'd be a whole big super full of honey. And the bees, when the temperature gets cold, the bees all cluster around the queen, keeping her warm. And they move up through the hive, eating the honey, beating their wings, creating warmth and keeping the hive warm. They keep it at like 95 degrees Fahrenheit through the winter.
You're kidding.
Actually, a problem of condensation inside the hive box.
95 degrees?
95 degrees.
That's amazing.
Just flapping their wings and eating honey. So honey is shelf stable. It's one of those things you can leave in your cupboard. You don't have to refrigerate it. It never gets mold on it. There's a whole bunch of antibacterials in honey. It's a great antibiotic that, if you got a cut, you could just smear honey over it and that would heal it. And people have been doing that for thousands of years. Now we have these antibiotics and stuff like that.
Suck the honey off your cut, a little sweet flash.
So to make mead, so far the data looks like the oldest alcoholic beverage that humans discovered, probably by chance, was mead. That they had collected some honey and the honey got wet, maybe getting back to the cave or the hut or whatever. It rained. The vessel that they were carrying the honey in collected some water. It started to bubble from the natural yeast that's in the honey. And it started to smell a little funky and they weren't sure what was happening, but they waited a little while.
Let their food go to waste.
Well, they let it go, supposedly. And then a week or two later, after the yeast had converted a lot of the honey into alcohol, they drank it. And they thought, now this is something we should do with honey from here on out.
So they left their honey out in the rain.
So then they just let it out in the rain and enjoyed it. So modern mead makers do this with some more control. And we've learned from the sugar content of honey being very high bricks, like 80 to 90 bricks. A wine grape is like 25 bricks.
Right.
So it's 3 or 4 times what a wine grape is, sugar content. And that's...
and alcohol is about half the bricks level. So if your 25 bricks is about 12.5% alcohol.
Yep. So usually if you take 1 part honey and 4 parts water and mix those together, you'll end up with around 13% alcohol in the end.
Now, as discovered by the ancients who discovered mead, there's natural yeast in the air that will find its way ultimately into that mixture. And
there's actually yeast in the honey itself.
Coming from the flowers.
Yeah. And that yeast, that's a component of Saccharomyces. So Saccharomyces and a few others are a class of yeast that eat sugars. So a lot of the airborne yeast and bacteria can do some conversion of starches and other things to make sourdough bread, make kimchi, do other things. But Saccharomyces is really associated with sweet things in nature, with fruit, with nectar, and those yeast can convert that sugar into alcohol. Those are the good guys for this sort of stuff.
Yes, but as you said, you're wanting to have some control over this. So just relying on the airborne Saccharomyces isn't always the best strategy. Can be, but not always.
Yeah, I've made a lot of small batches of mead, different honeys using the yeast that was in the honey and just letting it go. But this is normally like a gallon scale.
Right.
And a lot of times it would never clarify, and it would often not convert all of the sugars into alcohol. So it would be a lower alcohol.
A little sweeter.
And a little sweeter in the end. So here, to make this 3 honey, I inoculate the honey water mixture with a commercial yeast from grapes. And that gives me good control, a good clean dry product, and preserves all the aromatics of the honey into the glass. It's really what I find so alluring and engaging about a really clean honey wine is there's this magical floral aroma, and your brain sort of thinks you're going to have a very sweet, heavy beverage, but it's not. It's light and enjoyable.
So what's the actual sugar content of this? Does it have any residual sugar, or is it all converted over to alcohol?
There's some complex sugars that are not fermentable, and those hang on.
So that's going to deliver a sweetness.
So that delivers some sweetness. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
The biochemistry of sugars and starches and all this stuff is incredibly complicated.
But all of the fermentable sugars in this,
all the fermentable sugars are
converted over. So it's mostly dry. Yeah. And you can get that in the finish when you get it feels like it's going to be sweet when it first gets into your mouth. And you know what I find in this one? It's got something. It almost reminds me of fruitiness.
It is fruity. Yeah,
there's a
this
fruitiness
vintage
to
is
this.
fruity.
Yeah. Now we've done this wine since the beginning. I think our favorite has been 2011.
The 2011 vintage.
Amazing,
Oh,
and especially after it's aged for 10 years.
I was putting some wine in my cellar last night. Where's today? Monday. Yes, last night, and I have 1 bottle of 2011 on my rack. I moved it to put something. I still have one.
I think I have one too.
Yeah, I bet you do.
So honestly, I'll tell you, of all of the meads you made, with the exception of 2011, this is my favorite. This is the best one you've made in a long time. I love this mead.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It has a really interesting texture and mouthfeel. It's wines are live. They're alive. They transform. They change, both rapidly in the beginning during the fermentation, and then later on more slowly when it's in the bottle. But this mead was sat around for a long time, stabilized, clarified. I filtered it. I put it into bottle, and on some of the bottles there's a little bit of sediment.
I see that
has started to form. And this is the transformation that's taking place. And I think some of that is creating some of this rich mouthfeel. Champagne, they leave the wine on purpose on the dead yeast for a long period of time to develop mouthfeel. And, it's one of these things I don't know. No one knows all of the complexities of what's going on in this, in these beverages. But when they perform well and develop nicely, it's really enjoyable.
Geraldine's probably not terribly happy watching as I pour a second glass for each of us.
I know, it's what she wants to have at home. But, this is not what this show was set up to be about.
No, today. This is where we started.
But this is where we started. And this is where we wanted to start.
And we haven't mentioned...
this is good.
The honey that we make our mead from comes from Hall apiaries. This is on the border of over near Claremont, on the border of Vermont.
Yep.
There's some of the honeys actually in Vermont. Some of the bees hives are in Vermont. Some are in New Hampshire, correct?
Yep.
And
mostly in New Hampshire. He spent a lot of time, Troy Hall spent quite a bit of time learning his trade in Vermont and then moved, got his house in New Hampshire in Claremont there. Okay. It's not exactly Claremont. It's south of White River Junction.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little closer to White River Junction than Claremont. But anyway, Troy is like a bee whisperer. I had been tending bees for many years and knew my way around the hives. And I went to his place and spoke with him and watched him move around one of his hives and the bees. And it's, he's got his 1,000 hours in for sure. He's just so comfortable. The bees come up and land on his fingers, and he kind of, pets them a little, and off they fly. And he picks up and looks at it, and not wearing any sort of protection whatsoever. And there's 40,000 bees in the hive, and he's just pulling out the frames and looking at it. And it's just like, wow.
And his honey's amazing, and he makes
honey's amazing. Yes,
we're not talking about this now, but he makes the honey from targeting Japanese knotweed flowers.
Yep,
and we make some wine from that. And
so, that's a really important point. So, when we think about wine, we think about grapes and a particular vintage. So, let's say 2019, someone has growing a bunch of Cabernet Sauvignon vines. And the magic of the biosphere, the sun, the rain, the pruning, the rest of it, you end up with these clusters of Cabernet. You wait for that right moment to pick them with sugars and acidity and the rest of it. And you pick them and you crush them and you ferment them. And a couple years later, you start to get to savor the character of that particular vintage. Now, honey changes every day through the year. So starting in the springtime, when the first flowers emerge, bees get active and they start collecting nectar. And they bring that back, and that converts into honey. And as the flowers, we all know that we get early flowers, those die off. Then they get mid-season flowers, and then late-season flowers. It's a continuum. You always have flowers around outside, but they're never the same one month to the next. So the nectar that's being pulled back changes during the season. So when you make mead, you can actually have 20 different meads from a single year, from different nectars that have come out.
Yeah, and you can do what, like I said, like target a flower.
Yep.
Right.
So So
Japanese knotweed.
Or they'll do blueberry honey, or there'll be orange blossom honey. Or
so that's
Tupelo.
when the apiary will put the hive, an empty hive that has no honey in it, a new hive, into a new growth of flower that is in abundance, like Japanese knotweed, and let the bees collect the nectar from that abundant flower. And as I understand it, bees will collect nectar from the flower that is most prevalent first and complete that flower before moving on, because they know that every flower has a time-limited period.
It's amazing, and people who study this are always fascinated, and no one understands how it works. But a bee can fly out, the foragers in the hive. There's a whole bunch of different roles that bees perform within the hive. But the foragers are going out and trying to find these new sources of nectar. And they can find a field of Japanese knotweed or whatever miles away from the hive. And they'll fly back, they'll do a little dance on the landing board, a couple of figure eights and this and that. Follow me somehow. and they take off and they go out and they go exactly where they need to go, and they all come back and do their dance. And so the whole hive's going back and forth. All the foragers now are doing a beeline. That's where beeline comes from. So people used to hold a sugar solution or whatever and follow bees from where they were coming from to get there, to get back to the hive. So that's how you would actually find a native wild swarm, was a beeline. So you would have a sweet thing and you'd see, oh, there's another bee coming in. Okay, I know it's over there. And then you keep walking and you can find a hive, in a 50-acre area.
That's I never knew that. That's great. So
this mead are 3 honey wines.
This is a wildflower.
So these are wildflower honeys that are from early season flowers. So this is the sort of nectar, honey that's being produced right now in the hives, the first blossoms that are out there.
So what this show is really all about, and Matt actually posted something, he noted something that really brings us full circle into why we're here today. He mentioned that he got a honey wine that was a little fizzy, and that I had suggested he try it anyway.
Absolutely.
And he did, and he found it quite nice.
Yeah.
So
when I first pulled the cork on this, Bob looked over and said, "Hey, look at that, there's some bubbles." And so there were some bubbles, couple bubbles. This isn't carbonated at all. It wasn't intended to be carbonated. But sometimes the aging process within the bottle can give off some gas, more so than the cork can naturally release, so that you end up building a little bit of pressure in the bottle. And so when you first pull the cork, you can have a few bubbles. Right. But that's often not an issue at all. It's just a measure of how live and dynamic and changing the product is.
So how do bubbles fit into this conversation?
Okay. What a segue. Wow.
Thank you, Matt.
Here's what we're really talking about today, folks. Spring in session.
It's a new release.
Spring is in session.
We haven't had that for a while.
We have not had that. We had this once before.
We've had it once before, yeah.
Yes. And this is made from the early season Troy Hall honey from different hives, our 3 honey wine. But it's modified. So this is a different product. So this is, I'll tell you about that later. I thought you might catch that. It's good. So this is a session mead. For those beer drinkers out there, you've heard and seen products that are called a session IPA or a session pale ale. And we talked about this before. They're generally in that target class. Let's say an IPA is a 6% beer. A session IPA might be 4.5 or 5%. So it's a lower alcohol. So a mead, like the 3 honey wine, is about 13% alcohol. But this is a session mead. It's about 8% alcohol. So you can have a session of more drinking.
And if anybody was wondering what we were talking about before when I was picking at the bottle, there's an anomaly in the label, which I'll learn about later, but I was just noticing.
Actually, if you pull that off, you'll see sparkling rosé underneath.
So that's the anomaly. That's interesting.
Yes.
So anyway.
Okay. So this is a concept beverage, which we made once before and really enjoyed, and we made it again.
We haven't made it for 4 years, right?
Yeah.
16, I think. It was 16 or 17?
It was a 15 mead that was released in 16, I believe.
Oh,
so this is very light.
This is the first time I've had this.
Oh,
cheers.
I've been drinking the heck out of this wine almost every night, and we're going to carry on about this. That's why I was very excited to share this. This is carbonated. So this is a pressurized Stelvin capsule to capture it, and it's lightly carbonated. It's very light, very easy drinking, and there's a little twist in here because I've combined a wine made out of rhubarb into this, because rhubarb is that early season product in New England. Rhubarb pops out of the ground. It's just grows really well. It pops out of the ground in the spring, and this honey is from the spring time.
Thus, Spring in session.
Spring in session.
That's really interesting. I like it. That's really different.
Yeah, it's so light. It's so easy drinking. It's a little dangerous, quite honestly, because it's still 8%. The rhubarb is not strong or forefront at all. I tried to have it so that it's there, adding a twist. This isn't just 3 honey with water. There's a little twist there, and I get it on sort of the retronasal or the back end of the flavor. I pick up a little bit of that rhubarb character to it.
I like the light bubbles, just a little fizz.
It's almost like a Vino Verde, in between a Vino Verde and a Prosecco. It's got that light effervescence that's not a big, powerful CO2 bite into your mouth. Yeah, so that's our latest release. We just released it this last week. Got the labels in and put it on the bottle.
On top of the rosé bottle label.
There's just a couple cases there. I was short on bottles, okay, and I needed that to get it done instead of ordering a whole nother pallet.
Okay, good.
So that's what
the strategy.
I wasted a 20-cent label.
Okay.
On 3 cases. Then they were the last ones, so they're out earliest. So there you go. Put on by hand.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, every one of them.
Oh, wow, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
That was fun.
Geraldine, I think, is a fan. She says it's heavenly, dangerous.
So she's had some of the session.
Yes.
Excellent. All right.
Yeah,
it was fun this
brought
weekend.
Her bottle home before I left for Rhode Island.
Oh, good.
It's Mother's Day.
Good. There you go.
Happy Mother's Day.
On Saturday here, I met some of our club members and other people here and was pointing this around for people, and it was well received. People really enjoyed it. It's 3 honey for the afternoon, so you could just drink this all day long.
We said this before, but so it's believed that the session beer, session wine comes from the idea of in the days of the factory workers 100 years ago in England would go on break. They'd have about an hour or whatever their lunch break was. And actually it's longer probably in Europe. I think lunch breaks are longer than an hour there, but nonetheless.
What's that all about?
I don't know.
I think
we don't even take breaks
another
here,
couple hundred years, the U.S. might go,
what a neat idea.
We should just hang out for a couple hours, eat,
Have
drink,
some
have a
session
siesta, and then go back and work for a couple hours, and then eat for 4 hours at dinner.
I like that.
It is pretty advanced.
So the session was that session. So it would allow a worker to go and enjoy a beer or a wine and not go back to work so drunk they couldn't run the press or the machine that they were running and injure themselves. So
which is good.
That's where the session
that's
came
important.
from.
Yeah. So this is a session mead, and I fell in love with a particular drink. In early 2019, I had the chance to go to northern Italy, Treviso, sort of the birthplace of Prosecco. They grow a lot of the grapes there and make that wine, and it's a light, bubbly, champagne-like product. And what they do there is combine Prosecco with Campari or Aperol. And they make these drinks, and you walk down these ancient little narrow streets with the boutiques and the little areas and noises and sounds. And there are these places you can go in and just get a Prosecco and Campari or Prosecco and Aperol. And they take the Prosecco, which is 12.5% alcohol. They add some sparkling mineral water to bring it down to about 8% alcohol. And they put a splash of Campari in it. And it is just a killer drink. It's over ice, and it's 8.5% alcohol. You start drinking them at lunch, and I just love it.
So that's what we're going to try.
So that's what we're going to have. Yeah.
So Matt says, Bob selected, so Matt is referring to, he had asked us to select each of us to select some different ideas for meads to bring home. And I selected that he try the Knot mead. And he said he's put one up every year through 2035. and he's drinking the bottle for 2025 tonight.
Yeah,
he says he'll be surprised if he has any left by November.
That's a problem, Matt.
Cheers.
I do that too. Yes, well done. Yes, I got into the 2028 last night. But that's what it is. So
Priscilla asked if we'd ever thought of making a Japanese knotweed wine.
Yes. Yes. In fact,
funny you should ask.
In fact, Priscilla, Bob and Chuck and I made knotweed wine.
It was long
back in 09 or it may have been 10 when we were officially a winery, and then I couldn't get it approved through the TTB.
I still have some.
Yeah, I have one bottle left. So maybe two. So yes, you can make wine out of Japanese knotweed. Japanese knotweed, for those of you who do not know, is a rampant invasive in New Hampshire. It's all over the place, and it's next to impossible to kill, to eradicate. A good friend of ours, Doug Seigan, heads up the invasive species for the state and gets out there and advises people and really has done a great job of trying to help keep this in some sort of control. My backyard is loaded with it. I've got a creek that runs down to the pond, and they like wet areas, and it just grows. And I kind of let it go for a long time because I had these bees, and the bees love it, and it puts up a beautiful sort of dark molasses honey.
Yeah.
Great honey.
Great honey.
So I was, not worried about, no pun intended, not worried about the knotweed getting out of control in my yard. And Doug just came over shaking his head. And eventually I did have Doug come and spray and help advise me on to take control of that a little bit. But the knotweed itself comes out of the ground right now. And in the early half-foot, 2-foot length, you can harvest it and eat it kind of like asparagus.
Or
you
rhubarb.
Can steam it, or rhubarb. You can make pies or soups or things out of it. So I thought, well, it'd be fun. Let's make wine out of it. So we harvested some of this stuff and made the wine. And wines change. So the first 6 months or so, I think it was either you or Chuck who came up with the concept that the aroma was like a baby wipe, like those little plastic boxes that you buy at the supermarket.
Initially it was.
It smelled like baby wipes.
Yeah.
But then about 2 years later.
Not that pleasant.
Not that pleasant. Very strange.
Yeah.
A couple years later, you came over one night, and I took out a bottle of knot wine and poured it for you. And you're like, wow, what is this? This smells great. And you really enjoyed it. And that whole baby wipe thing had really subdued.
Gone away, yeah.
And about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the New Hampshire Public Radio has
They just reran that.
a Saturday show, I think. Sorry, I can't remember the guy's name. But he came to my house and interviewed me. We walked out. It's a radio broadcast on various natural activities in the state.
It's one of the weekend shows.
One of the weekend shows.
Yeah.
And really cool guy. And he came out and we walked through my backyard and he talked about fermentation and Japanese knotweed. And he remembers as a boy taking a stick and going out through. It's kind of like bamboo, but it's a softer bamboo. So you can hack through it really easily. And it's big and tall and falls over, and it has a particular smell, like baby wipes when it's fermented. So this guy went out hacking it, and he came over, interviewed me, and then while he was there, I said, I think I've got a bottle of this down in my cellar. And he goes, oh, I'd love to try it. So I went down and brought up a bottle of this knot wine and pulled the cork and poured it for him. And he goes, Ken, this brings me right back to my childhood. He took one sniff. He goes, and that's when he told me the story of swinging his stick around, hacking Japanese knotweed. It was hilarious. But yeah, it's a fascinating plant. It's a good source of resveratrol, which is a super antioxidant that's in red wine grapes. And so it's a healthy product, but the TTB didn't recognize it as grass, generally recognized as safe.
As food.
Right.
Although
there are places in Vermont and Connecticut that sell food that's made out of Japanese knotweed.
Don't know if it's legal. But
I don't know.
It's a food in Asia.
Yeah, it should be. It's good.
Yeah. So Priscilla says, she's having fun with the puns.
Good.
A pampered beverage that will
nice.
wipe you out.
Oh, very good.
Whether or not you like it.
Whether or not, yes.
So what are we doing?
Try this, my friend. We need a couple of ice cubes.
We need some ice cubes. I was thinking of that as I'm walking up here.
It's not quite cold enough, and a couple of ice cubes. But Campari, for those of you who don't know, is, for me anyway, and lots of other people, one of the most wonderful bitters that is used that creates this incredible aromatic and flavor. There's a little bit of a black currant and elderberry sort of character to it.
Wow.
And the Spring in Session just provides that base, which is kind of like Prosecco and mineral water. And it doesn't, this is so light that it doesn't overpower it at all.
No,
nice?
The bitters comes through.
Yeah.
You really get
I mean, you can balance it. You can add a little bit more of this, a little less of this, depending on if you want something a little lighter or you want something a little stronger. You just add a little more or less of one or the other.
So we should serve this in the deli.
That's what I want to do. This is all summer long. Oh, we can do it across the street. Let's do it in the garden. Sitting out on the picnic table in the sunshine with the music on.
And some ice.
Just throw some ice in here and have up another Spring in Session Campari. We need to come up with a name.
We got to find out if it's legal first.
Well, those people are making food out of Japanese knotweed in Vermont. How come we can't have a drink?
I don't know. Well,
New Hampshire.
I'm pretty sure it is. And this is under 24%. And our alcohol license is for 24% and under. So I think we're good.
It's 24. This is right on the limit. We'll find out.
Yeah.
This is at 24.
Yeah.
And we just use a little splash.
Yeah. No,
just a tiny bit.
I love Campari too. It's so versatile. And I love bitters.
It's great stuff.
Remember the bitters? So we were traveling in Canada and discovering some of the young and new wine region up near Sutton, Canada.
Clos de Sargent?
Clos de Sargent.
Is that it?
Yes. How did you get that?
I don't know. That came out of...
You've been talking about this for a while. And you couldn't remember. I couldn't remember either.
Clos de Sargent. They had that little bottle.
Yeah, of bitters from local...
That was crazy stuff.
Guy wouldn't talk about where or what he put in it, but it was a fermented beverage, largely, I think it was made from grapes,
He came from France.
Yeah.
And part of the reason for winding up where he did in Canada, just over the border north of us here, was because it had the same sort of flora that he had in his native place in France. So he could find the herbs that he needed to go into his bitters. And that, I remember this, it kind of blew my mind because I was first getting into fermentation and winemaking and trying to understand it.
This was before we had a winery.
Before we had a winery, but we were already making batches of wine. And so I'm reading books left and right every night. And one of the things that they say is rapid temperature changes are really bad for wines and sunlight is really bad for wine. And this guy was taking giant glass containers.
What are they called?
The demijohns.
Demijohns, yeah.
He'd take these demijohns and fill them up with his wines and he'd put them outside.
In the sun, purposely.
In the sun and in the moon. Oh, it's got to see the full moon. It's got to see the sun. It has to have the temperature change of the earth. I'm like, it's just going to ruin it. And then we're taking it. It's like, well, this is really good. Maybe the books don't get it.
Well,
maybe it's just a different approach.
And this guy's approach to everything was different. He didn't have any tractors to tend his grapes. He used
it's like
mules.
When I asked Nico about what he's going to do in my grapevines out back, how are you going to handle the weeds? He says, oh, I'm pretty good with the scythe. That's how he's going to take. It's a whole weed control.
Yeah. And this guy used I think he used a goat. No, that's right, because Carolyn wanted one. Oh, yeah. A donkey.
A donkey. That's right. That was the donkey. We came back from Canada. Gerald was thinking of getting a donkey.
Yeah. Glad we didn't get a donkey. Sorry, Gerald.
That would have been really cool. Yeah, having a donkey in downtown Meredith, tied up to your porch.
What was
you could give rides.
What was the donkey statement in South Africa?
Buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey in South Africa means have a good day.
Yeah, I think it's a derivative of thank you. For donkey in German is thank you.
Okay.
So buy a donkey, I think is buy a donkey.
Buy a donkey. Don't buy a donkey.
Is a thank you or something like that.
So yeah, that's where I first got turned on to bitters, is this guy. And that stuff he was producing that year was outstanding.
That was fantastic.
We had to go back and have it.
We went back. The second vintage was not as good.
It wasn't as good, yeah. But fascinating guy. And I think he's still making wine there.
I would like to go back there.
Yeah.
We need to go back there.
We should go back.
Because
will the Canadians let us in?
I don't know.
Don't know. Someday, maybe.
I don't blame them.
But the Sutton region, when you folks get a chance to go back to Canada, when we get back in again, the Sutton region of Canada, there's about 20 wineries there.
It's incredible.
It's really neat.
From here, what, 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
You're in Europe. You are in an amazing place with fantastic vineyards, restaurants, little towns, beautiful countryside. It's fantastic. I mean, when you first told us about that, and then we all went up in the Love Mobile and everything, it was just
for Gerald's birthday.
Great for Gerald's birthday. Yeah. That was just fantastic. So what do you think?
I like it. It's good. It needs ice.
Needs ice.
Definitely needs ice.
Yeah. And this should have been colder.
It's very refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a hit. This is going to be a hit. We're going to get this served in the deli for sure. We're going to make that happen.
I've been drinking this almost every night.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to have any for our customers?
Stopped for another bottle of Campari. She goes, that's $30 a bottle? I said, yeah. Look, you just have a little splash.
I know, it's just a little splash. So what about this other stuff we have here? What about the Aperol? Should we try it with that?
Well, we should try it, but...
Not as excited. It's a little sweeter.
This is a sweeter liqueur. So the Aperol that I had with Prosecco over in Treviso was not to my liking. It was just too sweet.
Too sweet.
And it lost sort of the...
Let's try it side by side.
The launch. The balance. See, it's sticky shut.
Because it's sweet. Just a little bit. Just.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. More of the 3 honey comes through because the bitter is so strong. More of the honey wine.
No, I get the like cantaloupe, watermelon-y sort of aroma to this. Maybe I put more in mine.
You did. The color's richer there.
I'll just add more of this.
There you go.
That's how I blend these two at home.
Just keep trying.
I just keep trying.
Right.
Take a sip. Add, I got more room that way. If it's really bad, I need to add a lot. I take a gulp, and then I got more room to add whatever I need to add in there.
I think you're right.
Oh, so
it's too fruity.
This is going to be very popular for a lot of people. And Aperol in Treviso is super popular, more so than the Campari. So I think, what about this? What about this in a slushy machine?
Now we're talking.
No, you don't need the carbonation. So take 3 honey with some water and Aperol and put that in a slushy machine. It'll be like a Slurpee with alcohol. That's what it'll be.
Well, that's kind of what a slushy is.
That's what it is.
With alcohol.
Yeah. Remember Slurpees? 7-Eleven?
I know. That's
brain freeze. That bring you back?
It does. It's not a good
thing.
No, it was. I really, the 7-Elevens became important in my life when I moved to Los Angeles, and there's one on every corner.
I grew up in Los Angeles, so the 7-Eleven was it. I ride my bicycle.
They'd sell
all
those
the way down to
24-ounce with the little straws with the spoon on the end.
Oh yeah, exactly. That was it.
So yeah, this could be a hit.
This will be a hit. Yeah. But it's really like candy in a glass.
It's not that sweet. As long as you only put just a splash of. It's not overly sweet. It's sweeter, for sure.
It's sweeter. It doesn't have that. I don't know. I like hops.
I like the bitters.
I like bitter.
I agree with you. This would be my choice because I like bitter better than sweet.
Now you brought another one here.
Yeah, so I'd try another one. That's just pure bitters.
Angostura.
Here, let's try that with another.
Oh, this is 44% alcohol.
Uh-oh, I can't serve that.
No, you just use a drop, so it's not like adding to the alcohol that you consume, really.
We've been wanting to do sort of wine cocktails for a while, but it's a resource issue. You need the specialty talent of people, somebody who knows
a mixologist,
and then you need the time to build them. For
maybe if we did this every day for the next year, we could figure it out.
Okay, so just a couple. Look, it's
Jesus, what was that? Wow,
couple drops.
I think. I don't know. Oh, maybe that's 2 drops too many.
Really?
Wow, smell it. No, smell the glass.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
It's really strong.
Priscilla says big gulp.
Big gulp. Oh, yeah, the big gulp.
Remember the big gulp?
Yes, remember the big gulp.
Wow. That's interesting. That was just 2 drops. Tiny little drops.
Oh, this brings the rhubarb out a lot. Wow. What the hell?
Ooh. Kind of like that.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Product of Trinidad and Tobago.
Really?
They don't tell you what's in it.
It's the first time I've ever had it.
This has been sitting in your house and you haven't used it?
Yeah.
Didn't you bring this in and we tried it with cider?
I had another one. That's a new one. I just tried a new one.
Angostura.
I like it.
I like this a lot.
Let me try another little drop. 44% alcohol. Are you kidding?
But it's just a drop, so it doesn't change the alcohol. It's just a like a tincture. It preserves the herbs and things that you start off with. That's all the alcohol.
Ingredients: alcohol, water, sugar, gentine. What is gentine? Natural flavors and caramel color.
Well, it's the natural flavors is the key thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the government makes them put that on there, but they can put all sorts of things in there.
Yeah.
There's like an allspice.
You can get this in the New Hampshire liquor store, by the way, if you're looking for something to add to your drinks.
Look at you change the color of yours.
Yeah.
You put more than 2 drops in.
I did.
There's a barnyardy aroma that's going on here too.
Oh, smell that. Smell that.
Oh, that's like cinnamon. That has a lot more spice.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 or 4 more drops.
Wow. I'm not sure.
Here.
There's sort of a like mushroomy, earthy character.
Swirl that around. No, we might be surprised. It's kind of interesting. This is fun.
Oh, now I get root beer.
Yeah.
So I get
yeah.
Root beer. I get what the hell is the base? Not anise. That's licorice. Sarsaparilla.
Interesting. All these different flavors.
There's a lot going on.
Very different. All 3 of them.
You have 3 glasses. I need 3 glasses because I know The one that I need the most of is the one with the Campari.
You have that one.
No, that's the Aperol.
Oh, the Aperol. The Aperol.
The one with the Campari is gone.
Yeah. Wow. So,
Look,
really,
they drank the whole bottle.
How did we do that? Wow. I haven't had dinner yet.
It's drinkable.
It's dangerous.
That's what I was saying before.
Good thing I'm walking home.
It's a little bit dangerous. It's this spring in session is just a really fun beverage on its own.
Think it'll ever end up in a can?
That's my goal. That's my goal.
You know, we did one year. We did a spring in session, a summer in session,
and a fall in session. Yes.
That was really fun. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that was really lovely.
Yeah, that was fun, and it was a little bit challenging to try to stay ahead of it.
Jen says she likes grapefruit bitters and rhubarb bitters mixed together. I don't know if I've had either.
Ooh.
They make a fantastic bourbon old fashioned.
Oh,
now we're getting into something altogether different.
All right. So, since this has rhubarb in it, rhubarb bitters might be a really fun twist into it, or the grapefruit.
So the point of this, I think, is first of all, it's to release to let everybody know about the release of our new spring in session.
Yep.
A really nice, all on its own, crushable, sparkling
definitely
mead.
crushable. Yeah.
A sparkling mead with rhubarb. But what's also important to take from this is that it have some fun with it. You know, add some, make your own cocktails with your wine.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be just the wine, just like we do with, like you said, with Prosecco.
People do this all over the world, and they've been doing it forever. There's no precious thing like you can't adulterate and change your wine. I mean, it is what it is, and it's a beautiful product and has its place and time. Right. But if you find that you particularly like this with vanilla ice cream thrown into it, so be it. Yeah. Whatever.
Well, remember when we had our wine dinner at the Balsams in 2011? Oh. And the Chef Barry, suggested, he had tried the 3 honey, and he said, what about if we start the meal off with a toast of half and half champagne and 3 honey?
Right. He was creating sort of a sparkling. Remember when we did a sparkling 3 honey?
I know.
Oh, and you and Gerald had the one
champenois.
You guys had the one bottle that won.
That was 2011,
and that was a 2011.
I have a whole case of that.
Oh. All right, everybody, we need to go to his house and help take care of that case.
So far that I know of, only one of them sparkled.
On our 11th anniversary, we need to have.
We will,
that
for sure.
Case.
We will have that case.
Yes,
we'll have plenty of it. So that's it. That's what today was about. We wanted to introduce our new spring in session, and we wanted to talk about the idea of experimenting a little bit, wine cocktails.
Yes, that's important. I think, if anything, one of the missions of our time with this winery and interfacing with all of you is that to break down some of the barriers to wine. There's a lot of mystique and a lot of protocols that go through the wine world, a lot more in places where it's really central, like California or France.
And I find a lot of wine,
and it's exactly what it is. It's like, you're afraid. You're afraid. It's like, oh, am I holding the glass right? Am I supposed to smell it now? And that's ridiculous. It's really off-putting to everybody else that doesn't get the opportunity to try an enjoyable beverage. Yeah. So one of the things that Bob and I try to do is to break down some of those barriers. It's your enjoyment. It's your time. This is something that we enjoy. And so trying to share that with you guys helps open it up, hopefully, to more people. And that I think is really a good goal. Yeah. It's important.
And Greg Farley pointed out something else that's also important. Crushable. It's empty. Thank you, Greg.
Yes, Greg. It's completely different than the Deep Blue Reserve. That's not a crushable wine. He had that the other night. And yes. And this stuff is crushable. And when you're here in the fall, we'll have some crushable events with wine. It's a completely different thing than dealing with the jammy, intense, fruit forward, Napa Cabernets that are quite renowned. This is a different sort of beverage altogether, for sure.
Yeah. And Matt wanted to comment. One of the things that's endeared us to him is the fact that we talk about things about what it is that we like. It's what's important is what's in your mouth, what you
absolutely.
you consume. It's not what somebody else says is the way it should be.
Right.
And as he points out, the French, which is this is the way you should like it, or this is the way it should taste. That's absolutely true. Thank you, Matt. That's it really is. I mean, you buy this wine at the store, you buy it at the liquor store, you buy it at the wine shop, you bring it home, it's your wine, and you need to drink it like you enjoy it. And if that's by blending it, blend it. If it's by drinking it the way the winemaker wants you to drink it, then that's the way you should drink it. But however you want to drink it. I always get the question at the tasting bar, I like to put ice on my red wines. Is that a problem?
Yeah, it's like, no, you enjoy it. That's no problem at all.
My answer to that is always, well, if you buy a bottle of red wine, you should at least try it the way the winemaker would expect you to try it, so that you can taste it the way it was intended to be drank by the person who made it. If you don't like it that way, put some ice on it if that's what you want to do. It's your beverage. You should enjoy it the way you like it, and that really is true. So thanks for pointing that out. We're upon the hour already.
Already?
I know.
Wow.
That's okay. Monday's going to be here before we know it.
I know, and there'll be another bottle of session in front of us.
Something.
How about that?
I don't know. What's happening next Monday? We don't know yet, do we?
No, we don't.
We'll have to. Wait.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes. No.
Yes.
That's not next week, is it?
I think it is. It's our tasting. We're doing a specialty tasting. I think it's next week. We'll have to look. I'll let you know. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll get to it.
Are you talking about Fortuna?
I don't know.
That's later.
No, that's later. That's the 29th.
Yeah,
yes.
That's Memorial Day weekend.
So Monday the 29th, we're gonna
31st.
be. No.
Monday's the 31st.
Is it?
Yep. Memorial Day. So Cody's going to start.
This is empty. It's the problem.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So anyway, there's some fun stuff coming up. Please tune in. We will be here every Monday at 5:30. It's just details. Right. It doesn't matter. We're just having fun, right? So join us next Monday at 5:30, and please again like our broadcast, share it with your friends,
and if there are things that you all are particularly interested in learning about,
let us know,
or exploring with us. Please suggest that, and if there's alcohol involved, Bob and I are all for it.
We're on board. We'll give it a try. So thank you once again for sticking with us for another Monday afternoon with wine and all things fun. So
I love these new glasses.
I know they have a nice
just
thing.
Great.
So you guys have a good
Thanks,
evening,
everyone.
and
Thank you very much.
We will see you again next Monday.
Good.